Raider Jim, your thoughts for a season that I think if we are going to probably remember anything, it will be that, there wasn't a whole lot of parity. But we did see kind of a wild Final Four, whether it was the choke job from Duke or that final play. But your kind of final thoughts on the 2024-25 season.
No, I mean, really, it was nice to see Michigan State back in the mix
Yep.
and competing so well. Again, last year towards the tournament, you and I were saying, how could they be ranked or how could they're not going to make it, but they made it type of a thing. But this year it was nice to see Coach Izzo had his boys back, and it was sad to see him drop one. It was nice to see what St. John's could do, although they fell short. Of course, Gonzaga, they did what I was hoping they would do and at least win the West Coast Conference tournament and at least put a little bit of calm down on the see, nope, nope, nope. They came back and they took care of business and had a nice first round game. That blowout game that they had, that was nice too. UCSD, when you talk about the transfer portal, there's the other kids. That team, I can't even imagine what's going to happen now because if I'm not mistaken, UC Irvine went on and made it to the championship game of the NIT and lost.
Oh, heartbreaking.
That was a heartbreaking loss. But now we're going to see what's going to happen. Is UCSD going to be able to overcome losing their coach, losing their best players? They don't have a starting lineup at this point. So they're rebuilding after one appearance. But again, coach left, took his best guy with him to New Mexico, and we'll see what happens to them. Oh, it's just going to be it's going to be quite a period between now and June 30, because that is, for all intents and purposes, if by chance the courts get their stuff together, they're saying that it will become effective July 1. After July 1, any deal worth $600 is subject to scrutiny, if you will, by somebody. And it's like $600. Those kids are wearing shoes that are worth more than that right now. So we'll see what happens there. All in all, though, I enjoyed the season as I usually do. Yeah, I still would, if I was going to push for anything change in the game, in the broadcasting next year, I would say I would love to see, instead of pulling these guys when they're in the middle of the first half or interviewing them coming in and out, I would love to see them put heart rate monitors on the coaches and have it up in the corner of the, that would be something to watch.
Yeah, I've never really been a big fan of coach interviews. What is coach going to tell me that it is going to, yeah, every once in a while, maybe, but for the most part, it's cookie cutter answers. We got to work harder. We got to rotate. We got to get the ball to this guy. We got to spread the ball. But the thing that's really gotten me are the player interviews at halftime. Like, can we not? Like, these kids probably aren't overall media trained, and they're asking two questions too. That's the other part. You can tell some of these coaches and players, it's like, yeah, we're just gonna have to work hard in the second half, thinking, okay, I'll get that answer and I'll walk away. And then there's more, and it's just, I know it's written into the contracts and that stuff. I personally, baseball does it the worst. ESPN interviewing players while they're in the field, like what? Like, okay, in the All-Star game in spring training, whatever. But you're talking to Manny Machado while he's playing. Like, can we not? Anyways, thank you. You gave me
And work the technology. If you're gonna do it, I can't tell you. I would say if I 3 out of every 4 interviews I saw, the poor player was looking down at the commentator going, "Huh?
yeah,
I can't hear you." I mean, they've got microphones and ear monitors. These kids are sitting there, 10 feet from 10,000 people screaming and the pep band playing. And they're like, I mean, one kid got a little bit, he says, "I keep telling you, I can't hear you. I don't know what the question is." And he said it sternly but politely. And I'm like, this kid has to get out there to start to get his warm up in to play the second half. Let him go.
yeah. Yeah, it's very, very, very odd to me. I appreciate you bringing that up because I meant to bring that up. But my final thoughts, I think this is going to be interesting going forward because there's kind of been an elephant in the room that I don't want to say we haven't talked about. I mean, because when we dove into college basketball, we just dove kind of straight 2 feet in February. We had a lot of catching up to do. But the fact that next year we're going to be in the same conference. Our teams are going to be in the same conference, the Pac-12, or as I call it, the Pac-12 -4. Because as of right now, and there's only 8 teams, but I mean, we got the Big Ten with what, 24 teams. We got the Big 12 with however many they have. I'm sure the Atlantic 10 has more than 10. So numbers don't matter anymore. But anyways, Gonzaga, joining Boise State, San Diego State. Do I have? Yes, I have them right here. Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, Gonzaga, Oregon State, San Diego State, Utah State, Washington State. So by my count, we are going to need to somehow, some way turn Gonzaga into a state school. And we'll have all state schools in that Pac-12 -4 right now. But that's going to be very interesting to me because just the way that looks to me, that is San Diego State and Gonzaga. Like, I think we're really going to see those two programs rise to the top. Obviously, Boise and Utah State are programs that have been around there. But when you think about actual success in the tournament, out of those 8 teams, San Diego State and Gonzaga have to be at the top. And I know Oregon had that really weird Final Four run like 5 or 6 years ago, but I'm talking like sustained success. Those are the blue bloods, if you will. I'll put them in air quotes there. So I'm really interested to see how that goes. Obviously, it's really difficult for me to kind of look ahead. It's kind of like what you alluded to, like, well, whoever's coming back, we'll see ya. But it's like, even for San Diego State, back in the day, the only question was, well, do they have eligibility left? Now, I know Guap is already in the transfer portal. Miles Bird is in the transfer portal. So, we'll see 12 new guys next year. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. And then guess what? The year after, more than likely going to have to My question is, how long before Brian Dutcher goes, you know what? My buddy Steve called me up. He's drinking a pina colada at the beach right now, and I'm trying to figure out if this 22-year-old's going to come play for me again next year after I gave him $500,000. Maybe I want to go sit on a beach with a pina colada. So that'll be something to keep an eye on, but it's just really difficult to kind of really look ahead to next year when, again, it's like free agency. Like, okay, we lost 75% of our team. Well, until we put that together, I can't really give you a prognostication, but
Right.
definitely something to keep an eye on as we head into the off season. And look, before we know it, we're going to be hearing that dribbling of the basketball, the feast week. You'll be getting the relatives together for Thanksgiving, and we'll be getting ready to break it all down for you again. But Raider Jim, your final thoughts, just overall for this podcast here in the paint.
Hey, as always, honor to be part of your podcast, and hard to believe the time has gone by that fast, but guarantee you I'll do more homework during the off season and I'll be fired up and ready to go come October 1st. And then we hit the ground running in November. I can't wait.
Amen. And I never ever like to correct you, but I am going to correct you on this. Our podcast, because look, just because I put my name on there,
That.
you are a integral part of this. Again, last week it was like 12 seconds in, dropping off a cliff, no Raider Jim, no audience. So it was great to get you back here today. My final thoughts, I have two. I'm going to start kind of somewhat, somberly, and just a reminder for all of us. Unfortunately, this past week in the Dominican Republic, there was a very, very sad situation at a nightclub. I think one of the biggest nightclubs in the Dominican. Over 100 people passed away. Very sad. Unfortunately, Octavio Dotel was one of them. Not putting him above anyone else, but for me, a baseball fan, obviously Octavio Dotel for many a years was in a lot of bullpens for major league teams. And another thing that I heard actually on the Padres broadcast on Wednesday, Nelson Cruz, he played with the Padres, but a longtime major leaguer. His sister, I believe it's Nelly Cruz, but I or Nelson Cruz. I apologize. I might not have that correct. Just because Nelson and Nelsie. Anyways, she unfortunately did pass away. She was actually I think she was one of the in the government for one of the territories, and she actually, this was a pretty incredible story. She actually was able to call the president of the Dominican Republic and kind of let him know what had happened, kind of, before anyone else really was getting it to him. She unfortunately did succumb to her injuries. Very, very sad. And for me, I think it's just a reminder again to just, whenever you get a chance to hug your loved one, give them a kiss, because you never really know when your number is going to be pulled. You're just out at a nightclub on a Tuesday or Monday, Tuesday night, and unfortunately tragedy strikes. Just make sure you tell people you love them, and treat people with respect and love as well. And then to kind of add a little cherry to it, I do want to shout out Alexander Ovechkin, because look, we don't really talk about hockey podcast, but I'm a hockey fan myself, and I personally did not think any of Gretzky's records would ever be broken. I certainly didn't think the goal record would be broken. Certainly didn't think it would be broken by a 39-year-old man who had a broken leg earlier this season. An unbelievable career for Alex Ovechkin. Very good to say, or very proud to see him win, or break that record, I should say. And kind of what we see in the NBA with some of the older generation kind of maybe poo-pooing what the younger generation does, or the younger generation poo-pooing what the older generation does, all of the above. Hockey, it's very, it doesn't really seem to be that way. Wayne Gretzky was very, very happy for Alex Ovechkin, or at least appeared to be very happy for him, and was actually following for the last like 3 or 4 games. While he was chasing it, he said when he broke Gordie Howe's record, he said, if someone ever breaks this record, I want to be the first one to shake their hand. He was able to do that. I think it's a great, great story. And then I am going to pull out my soapbox real quick, because there are some people that have kind of poo-pooed this, because yes, Alexander Ovechkin is Russian, and he hasn't come out and waved a Ukrainian flag and stood in solidarity with Ukraine and what like everybody wants him to do.
Yeah.
And I would like to remind those people, if you were in that camp, I don't think you truly understand what that would do. It might make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Unfortunately for Alex Ovechkin's extended family that are in Russia, they would not feel fuzzy inside. So again, we don't need to inject politics into sport. We just need to enjoy it. And there were very little discourse with that, but I did see some discourse. And look, keep that crap out of here. I'm sorry. You can go do that over there in your own little echo chamber, but you stay out of sports. Sports are toxic enough. We don't need political toxicity as well. But just wanted to kind of shout out Alexander Ovechkin, a fantastic career. And also, as a huge Wayne Gretzky fan, I still want to say, if you take all of Wayne Gretzky's goals away, he still leads the NHL in points, which is probably the most ridiculous stat in all of sports.